Welcome, Madam Chair. Thank you for being with us. Former President Trump is doing better in the polling, but he would be running away with it if he could close the gender gap. So how can he do that between now and Election Day? If he called you and said, Madam Chair, what do I need to do? What would you tell him?
Well, first of all, President Trump, he is doing better and better among African-American voters, Hispanic voters, and women voters who are undecided but moving in his direction. I'm proud to be one of the national chairs of Women for Trump, and here is why. Because under President Trump's successful leadership, women never had it better. Look at the economic success. You had the highest number ever of women in the workforce, the lowest unemployment rate in modern times for women. President Trump expanded access to child care. It was also President Trump that delivered paid family leave for women in government. We had a booming economy, the highest number of small businesses founded by women ever, the highest wage and income for working women ever in our nation's history. We also importantly had security in our communities. We had a president who supported law enforcement. And look at what's happening under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. You have historic inflation. You have a wage and salary cut because of that inflation for every working woman across this country. And you have increases in prices at the grocery store, childcare, energy, utility prices. Women are feeling the brunt of this terrible economy under Kamala Harris. So as women are making their decision, they're overwhelmingly look at your experience under President Trump versus how it is today. We were better off under President Trump.
All right, let me ask you about the body in which you currently serve. If Vice President Harris wins, the GOP House would be able to block her agenda. If Donald Trump wins, he will need the House. Regardless, it may come down to blue states like yours and California as to who controls the House. And I think most viewers don't understand that. It's actually Republicans who are successful in blue states that gives the GOP the majority.
It is true, Trey, and I was just doing events in my home district, but also for some of the targeted races like my colleagues Mark Molinaro and Mike Lawler in parts of the Hudson Valley. And I will tell you, the majority runs right through places like New York and California. Here's what has been happening, though, interesting the last few cycles. We have picked up more Republican seats in traditionally blue states, and I believe it's because people are experiencing the double whammy of failed Democrat policies from Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, but also at the state level as well. We saw a historic election 2 years ago when we flipped 5 seats in New York. And I believe President Trump is making inroads. And what's interesting, Trey, is every single swing congressional district, Kamala Harris is underperforming where Joe Biden was in 2020. So I'm a believer that President Trump is the most effective candidate at turning out votes. So goes the presidency, will go the House. But we are certainly making sure that our House members, that people understand, Democrats will seek to impeach President Trump on day one. So these Democrats who all of a sudden are trying to pretend to be moderate and supporting President Trump, this is the same Democrat Party and the same Democrat candidates who have worked incessantly to undermine President Trump and have taken steps to impeach him in the past. So again, New Yorkers must turn out to vote just like Americans must turn out to vote across this country. We cannot get complacent this election cycle.
All right, before I let you go, I have to flash my geography skills. I think we have 2 borders. The southern border gets a lot of attention, but there's another border that you actually live close to. Should it be getting more attention, and why?
Absolutely. And I have been ringing this alarm bell since the first few months of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's failed administration. We have seen a catastrophic rise of illegals crossing our northern border. I represent about 150 miles of our U.S.-Canadian border in the Swanton sector. There has been more illegal crossings in 2024 than in the past 17 years combined, including individuals on the terrorist watch list. So when we talk about border security, it's not just our southern border, it's our northern border as well. Kamala Harris owns this border crisis lock, stock, and barrel. We need to return to the effective policies of President Trump.
GOP Conference Chair Elise Stefanik from the great state of New York. Thank you for joining us on a Sunday night. I hope to see you soon.
Thank you, Trey.